Oh, hey. Yeah, I got a little thing in the corner.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. I believe we're live.
We are, I think.
So maybe give
Cool.
it a minute or two, see if anyone shows up.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to leave that YouTube window closed or minimized, rather. I believe we're live.
We are, I think.
Oh, I can hear that.
Cool.
Minute or two, see if anyone shows up.
Okay.
I'm just going to leave that YouTube window closed or minimized, rather. I believe we're live. Oh, it's one of us going to echo forever. Hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, how about now?
All right. Let's see if that works.
I can't hear it anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I just muted the stream on YouTube. All right, we're still working out some issues, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So, of course, my window got real small now. Hold on. Okay, here we are. Okay, here we are, brother.
All right.
This is, whatever, vinyl hangout session, Bizzarro's vault, whatever you want to call it. Mr. Bizzarro with you. My friend Craig on the other end. Give me your YouTube channel.
ZAPPA21786.
All right. Excellent. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you, brother.
Yeah, excellent. How you been? Good?
Yeah, been good, man. Staying
clean.
Stay washing those hands.
Keep your hands clean.
Keep your ass clean.
Keep your ass clean. Cool, man. Well, let's let's keep staying clean and jump into it, man. So we're going to show some recent spins. We're going to show some vinyl that we like. No format, really. We're just going to rap and show what we like. So why don't you start off, Craig? Show us what you got, man, and tell us.
Definitely, dude. Well,
I'll spin, or if it's something you just want to show.
This is the most recent spin. I actually was spinning this last night while I was the joys of being an adulting and being a parent, folding laundry. But busted this one out.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah. I actually got this one. I did a big trade with a buddy about a few months back, and threw this one in. He's like, "Hey, man," because I started throwing stuff at him, and he's like, "Hold on, we got to make sure this is even. I'll throw this one in too because it's on your Discogs list." I'm like, "Hell yeah!" So
excellent.
Yeah, this one's actually. This is really good. I've listened to it a couple of times, a few clips on YouTube over the years, and I think it's probably just timing. There's just some days where I'm like, I don't know if I'd even dig this. I don't know if I'd listen to it, but I'm like, what the hell? So I threw it on last night and I listened to the first side, and this is smoking. This is really good.
Now, did someone turn you on to that?
Honestly, I probably saw this probably goes way, way back.
Okay.
Probably in the either vinyl community on YouTube or of his Facebook, I'm not sure. And then it also shows up in a lot of like cyclists and stuff like that. Well, their second album shows up a lot more than this one, but I heard a lot of good things, and I've never actually seen it in the wild before. And there's a spot that a guy who used to run the record shows around here. He actually had a copy that he put up for sale. That is, man, if anybody goes way back on my channel and my videos, I'll talk about this place I used to go to that would sell records for $3 a piece. So you could find all kinds of really crazy shit. And he had that one, but thanks to that place's hours, I wouldn't be able to get to it with my work schedule. So it was probably there and gone. So.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent, man. Is that an original press or is that a repress? Did they have any represses?
It's had I think it's had a couple of represses. Hold on. Sorry.
It's okay.
Family group chat. All right.
Okay.
I'm good.
And you're back. And you're back. Okay.
All right. Let me make sure my volume's good and everything. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's all right. It's all right.
Wait, hold on. The joys of figuring this stuff out.
Hey, technology and old men don't mix.
All right. Make sure my volume's good. I think I can hear everything. Okay.
All right.
Yep, we're good. Sorry.
That's all right, man.
I'm part of the group chat with my my in-laws side, and thanks to the quarantine and everything, we haven't seen everybody in like a little over a month. So,
Okay.
but getting back to the task at hand, it's an OG on MGM. So it's had some represses. I think there was like just your general 180 gram press by I don't know what label. Sundazed actually has done a repress of it, and it was in mono. So
very cool.
I had debated on that one before this one came up for trade, so thought I didn't pull the trigger. So because that one, it's a great copy. So
good choice. Good choice. Yeah,
what
man.
you got, brother? Kind of do a little bit back and forth.
Yeah, no problem. I'll show you some bookend kind of stuff. Some Alvin Lee stuff. So this is early.
Ooh, yeah.
Early Alvin Lee. This is On the Road to Freedom. This is his.
I think I've seen you post that before.
Yeah, I may posted it a while back. You know, these things make their way back around again.
Yeah.
But, this is 1973. This is really good. Alvin Lee stuff. Is it 73 or 72 or 73? It's right around there.
Okay. Yeah.
But, yeah, On the Road to Freedom. It's really cool stuff. Some blues and the kind of stuff you'd expect from Alvin Lee.
Oh yeah, definitely.
This is an original press. This is one of those ones that pretty clean considering. I mean, no ring wear or anything like that. It's kind of
it's really clean. I feel like I've seen that one a couple of times out in the wild over the years, but usually it seems to be pretty ring worn to hell.
Yeah, they're pretty beat up. That might have been one of my luck out kind of dollar bin things. So I don't remember really paying that much for it at all.
Nice. I think anything I've picked up of like 10 years after and stuff like that has all been on the cheap.
Yeah, this is on I forget what label this is on. Space Productions. I never heard of that label actually.
Me neither, man.
Could be Alvin Lee's personal label. But I wanted to bookend that with this is Alvin Lee's last album before he passed away. And
really?
It's called Still on the Road to Freedom. This is like 2014. Let me make sure. 2014, yeah.
Yeah, because didn't he pass away like not too long after that?
Not too long after that, yeah. So I enjoy this. This is obviously an older Alvin Lee.
Yeah.
He's doing what he likes to do. It's got some old doo-wop style stuff like he always like his 50s kind of twangy kind of stuff and some jazzy stuff. And it's in the same vein as On the Road to Freedom, which is cool. So I like listening to those back to back because it's kind of
that makes perfect sense.
Early Alvin Lee solo and the absolute last that he contributed. So I enjoy those.
That's good, man.
Yeah, so some Alvin Lee, man.
Cool. Well, this one, this is not a recent spin, but this one I just threw in because I did not realize it's been 40 years. Like, I don't think this exact date, but around this set of dates. This was released 40 years ago. I had to run to the store yesterday. I was in my wife's car. She's got Sirius, so I got it on. I think I had it on Ozzy's Boneyard, and came up like, oh yeah, 40th anniversary. I'm like, holy shit, 40 years! Wow,
unbelievable.
Like, I've been listening to that for well over, 20 of those years. So actually, not longer. So yeah,
like a long time.
Yeah, that's a good fucking album too.
It is, man. It is.
A lot of their stuff holds up, man. That's a sign of good music if it still holds up and still has the same power and punch.
Yeah. What are some of the? Show me a couple of the tracks. Is that Electric Eye song on there?
That's on Screaming for Vengeance. So the one that came out 2 years later.
Okay.
So this one's got Breaking the Law, Metal Gods, Living After Midnight. So really, like, they're what you consider kind of more their commercial breakthrough.
Yeah. I remember there being at least a couple really good songs on that album. Like,
oh yeah,
departures from Breaking the Law, like Older Priest.
Oh yeah, like, I mean this is one of those where you can put it on and it's just front to back. You don't have to skip a song. I mean, the deep cuts on here. I mean,
what's the last song on the second side?
What up?
What's the last song on the second side?
Steeler.
I think that's one of the ones that stuck out for me. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a solid one. This whole, yeah, this is one of those that really I knew when I I'll tell you a funny story on how the first time I ever heard this was a buddy of mine, his dad, I inherited his dad's record collection when I was like 16, but his dad had a killer cassette collection too. So, decent amount of store-bought stuff, but a lot of stuff that he would just dub onto tape. And he would do like, he was really good at artwork. So he'd do like their logos on the J card and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Killer handwriting. But he had a copy that he had dubbed of British Steel on one side and then Santana's self-titled on the other side, which was, yeah, that was a mind blower for me when I was probably like 11, 12 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
But the quality was horrendous. It almost sounded like you recorded it like with the microphone from like a cassette recorder onto another speaker. So you had to like I had to crank up my Walkman as high as it could go just so I could decipher the entire songs. But it was one of those where in the days before, internet, Netflix, like YouTube, all that other stuff. So you can't just go ahead and be like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and I can just stream it, or I can go ahead and download it, or whatever the case may be. So,
right.
Somebody gives you a shoddy copy of something, that's the only way you're going to be able to hear it.
It happened a lot. I mean, you get kind of a mixtape of the cool metal songs, from the day, the 80s, and they'd be ripped probably a dozen or more times from an original source,
Yeah.
So you get the 13th copy, and that's been copied from each subsequent one before.
Oh yeah.
By the time you get it, there's so much hissing and air. It's almost louder than the actual music.
Dude, it was, that was the roll of the dice, but then again, if that's your only way you're gonna be able to hear it, then
that was it.
My God, I'm gonna listen to it, and I'm gonna beat the hell out of my 15th generation copy.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
So yeah, that was kind of my honorable mention. One of those. Well,
there you go.
I'll switch formats real quick, so I'll do my honorable mentions. Black Sabbath, Master of Reality.
Yes, cool.
This gets the honorable mention because also when I was in the car yesterday, they had a little snippet, and Dee Snider came on and was talking about this is his favorite Sabbath album, and this is the one he's there you go. Brothers in 8-Track. He mentioned this because he said that he felt that was the one that they really hit their stride on. Said like they were great before, but this is the one where they really found their footing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm like, you know what? I agree with that.
Yeah, excellent choice. Great cart. When I found that on 8-Track, actually, that may have been one that I got as a gift for Christmas. So I don't remember ever finding that. I did find this for $1.
Ooh.
It's the one that had probably a nice cover that had artwork maybe.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You're not getting anything on it besides, but I found that for $1. And I was like, God damn, dude.
That's killer.
It's just hit or miss, who's been there that day kind of thing. If the 8-Track dude's been there, you're not finding anything, but you get it in between those days, and they're like the ones where, yes, I can't believe I scored, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think mine was actually a gift from another VCer.
What is that? Is that an Ampex?
Yep.
Yeah, so is mine. That's got the really cool, like
I love those.
The actual suspension with the felt.
Yeah,
those are easy. Foam.
Yeah, if you got to work on those, these are, at least if you got to do like foam work or splice work or anything, they're really pretty easy. I haven't had to break one of these open in a while.
The felt ones, I think, are a lot easier because all you really have to do is move the tape aside and just glue some new pads on. That's it.
Yeah, that's super easy. If you've got to open it up to get the actual like foam piece in there and everything, unless it's not a Columbia cart where you've got the little tab and you can just pop, done.
Just like that Ampeg, that Ampex cart. It's the most difficult cart to open by far.
Oh yeah, I think I've got, I think it's an Ampex cart for my copy of Zeppelin 2, and I think I spent probably an hour and a half just trying to figure out how to get it open without breaking the part. Yeah, I think I got lucky. I think I replaced the felt in that one.
Okay. Yeah, I was watching some videos on people doing it and some diagrams, and they were screwing screws down into those pockets and leaving them in there. And then at some point when a screw that kind of fits in there, and it was releasing those tabs enough for you to get it open.
Oh, that makes sense.
As many times as I've had a cart open, they still confuse the shit out of me as how they're supposed to spin. The twist they put as the twists off the reel and then it goes up, it's.
Oh yeah, I've probably had, thankfully I haven't, if I had to do that, well, I do have a copy of a Thin Lizzy Jailbreak that it completely, like the splice broke, but I bought it that way because I bought it in a lot and I think I got it for like $1 or something like that, because it's a super clean mint cart. So I'm like, at some point I'm gonna have somebody just do this for me. I'll send it off to somebody to just do the work. So, and I know there's places that do it and stuff like that. It's just a matter of when I have the extra cash, depending on how much they charge.
Yeah.
So
there's a guy that I was talking about in one of the recent podcasts I was on with Greeno and stuff, and I showed a couple of the May Blitz. I had him make me May Blitz. They never put May Blitz on cart, so I went to like the era. Like I got an actual, the guy has new old stock, like hundreds and hundreds of brand new sealed new. What do you want? Lear cart? Do you want a gray cart? Do you want a red cart? Like era correct carts.
Wow.
So I kind of went with what was era correct color wise. And I went with a Lear cart, which was pretty dominant then around that time. And I sent him the album art and he shrunk it all down and fit it on there and recorded like high quality, like as good as the best cassette or CD quality stuff.
Nice.
And man, the dude's he's so good at it. He's super cheap. I paid $20 for 2 of those carts shipped.
Dude.
Yeah. I mean, how can you not want to get some cool shit for it's like $8 a piece or something like that in the end. You know? So I was going to get those brown acid volumes on
I've seen
East Ride, I think. What is it?
Pretty sure I know like Greeno's talked about them, and I think
like on the 10th one, it's like the 8th trip, the 9th trip. Well, they're on 10. I was thinking maybe getting him to do all 10 of those on cart. That'd be fucking cool, like a whole series. Wow. But I think he might, anyway, to get back to it, I think he might do repairs on carts.
Oh, okay.
And I'll send you his info and you can ask him.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it's called Emo Cow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, dude. Yeah, link me up with that because I'd love to hopefully get that one at least done. And if there's any other stuff I want,
Yeah, for shit you want, even if it doesn't exist, he's really good with sizing up, album art, like track listings and all on the carts and everything. It's
insane, man.
So here it is, real quick, so you can.
That looks awesome, dude.
Yeah, so he does the wraparound and the track listings on the back, and it's very authentic. There's a little bit of tuning that he can do. It's a little big here, height wise, and it's a little wide. But this is like first run with me just sending him pictures of album art, like off of Google or some shit, So
that's crazy. Yeah, that's killer.
He's really fucking good at it, man. So for $8 a piece. I'm just thinking of shit for him to do, So, and he's even got the, So, check out Emo Cow if you guys are.
Definitely will, man.
Following along and you're interested in some cart stuff. So,
seriously.
So I'll show one of my carts then, man.
Go for it.
Or another one. So here's
ooh, nice.
This is Brown Hell.
Got that one on vinyl. That's a great album.
Awesome, man. And this is a Lear cart. This is red. It looks kind of, I guess it's orangey red. It's definitely deeper than what you're seeing here, but you can see the Lear stamp on the back.
Yeah.
And this is one of 3 or 4. This is one of 4 that I found all in the same place at the same time. I'm pretty sure the same person owned them. And they're all super, super clean like that. Like no lasagna label, no degradation, no dirt. Like, they just sat around, here's Hot Pants.
Yeah, I got that one on vinyl too. Those are great, man.
Funny thing is, I left those at the store at least once because I didn't want to pay $5 for a James Brown cart. thank God I was able to go back and see and come to my senses and go, how much JB do you find on cart in this condition? Now hell was broken, so I had to put a splice on it where the metallic selector / splice thing was, but everything else was like in perfect condition. So I bought them all, and I'm kind of glad because you don't really see them in that condition if you see them. So
no, that's rare as all hell.
Yeah, here's Past the Peas. That's the JB's, that's his band.
Yeah.
So, it's that shit. And real quick, I'll just show you the last one. On the Good Foot.
Nice.
Yeah, and these are all Lair. So they're like all same era, Polydor Lair. I think People is the JB's, and I think that might be James Brown's side label or something. I'm not sure, but
okay.
He's on the album squealing. Of course, he's got to do some squealing. He ain't gonna just let the band go and do what they want to do. He's gonna come on and put his mark on it. So. But yeah, dude, what do you want to? How about I show another record and then you can go?
So this is one of those, like, I've never heard of it. I didn't know anything about it, but it popped up on eBay type of thing because I kind of went through a psych phase last fall over the winter type of thing, and I had been, and with going, like, I find that anytime I get heavy into a genre or something like that, I'll start just falling down the rabbit hole and trying to find stuff that just dig deeper. But you get to that point where you start listening to certain bands, you're like, oh yeah, it kind of sounds like Grateful Dead. And then you listen to it and you're like an 18th generation Dead. Like, this is horrible. So you get to that point, and why in the hell would I want to spend $70 on this album because it sucks? Like, I'm not going to listen to this, even though 50 people out there say this is rare and it's amazing. Well, I'm like, yeah, no, it's not for me. But this popped up on eBay when I just did a general search under like just psych LPs.
Yeah.
And it's called Tucky Buzzard. And it's on Capitol. And I believe it's from, I think, 1970. Let me check and see here.
Kind of music is that generally?
It is. Well, I guess you could, that green Target label. It would fall kind of under psych, but I think it's got a little bit more of a hard psych, like early 70s rock, like 70s hard rock stuff. So I think this would actually fit in with like a 70s hard and heavy type of thing.
Okay.
I don't know how many albums they had. I think they had maybe one more. I don't know exactly.
American band, British band, American?
I believe they're American.
Okay.
If I remember right. Yeah, let me look and see if I can find a year. Or maybe they're, I don't know. Oh shit, I didn't even realize this. Produced by Bill Wyman.
Look at that.
I did not remember that. Or maybe I just didn't remember right now. But yeah, it's actually pretty decent. Let's see here. A song written by Leon Russell. Holy shit. Well, maybe they are British.
It's like a cover tune by Leon Russell, or a
it's let's see here. Hold on, where did I put that here? All tracks arranged and written by Tucky Buzzard, except Pisces Apple Lady. So maybe he just had a hand in writing. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But like they think like Glenn Johns, Mick Taylor, Bobby Keys, and Jim Price. So
really, Glenn Johns.
So, yeah, so it's got a Stones connection. So maybe they are British. I didn't do a ton of research on these guys. I did more of one of those. I saw it and it was only like $10 with like a couple bucks for shipping. So I'm like, I'll give it a shot. And I listened to a few clips on YouTube and it was pretty good. You know, if I listen to it and it sticks in my brain and I'm like, okay, I can get behind this. And
what was Glenn Johns' part in that? Is that the Glenn Johns I'm thinking about with the Glenn Johns mic setup? Glenn Johns?
So I didn't even have. So unless he just had a hand in like just being there, because they recorded it at Olympic Studios in London.
Okay.
So
he's the man that invented the Glenn Johns mic setup for snares.
Yeah.
Called the Glenn Johns because of him.
Yeah. Well, the man was a fucking master.
Yeah. He's still around, I think.
Think so. Yeah. I haven't.
Yeah.
Awesome. Or else if he passed away, then I'll be pulling out everything that he produced.
Yeah.
He had a hand in so much good
Yeah,
music.
it's almost like an 8 Degrees to Glenn Johns kind of thing, you know.
Oh yeah,
He's big in doing Uriah Heep stuff, I think.
yeah, 'cause he did the first couple Eagles albums. He did obviously work with Zeppelin, Stones, The Who. Um, shit, who else? God,
Probably tons of people
there's
you
a
don't
ton
know.
more.
Yeah.
I think there's a Beatles connection in there too, but I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, let me bust one out. This is one that I always go back to when I really want to hear some solid Foo Fighters. When I want to go back like to the beginning of the end of Nirvana, yet the beginning of Foo Fighters, in that kind of lull there when Dave was doing his thing.
Yeah,
this is the one. Now,
dude,
I'm not going to argue about what's the best. This, in my opinion, there's no argument. This is as solid as you can get as far as Foo Fighters is concerned. It's so fucking good, man.
Dude, well, you know what? And my dad and I were both big fans. That's awesome. We've had conversations where, and we'd had these for years, where they didn't really have too many albums that were perfect from front to back. Like that one, solid gold. The second one, Color and Shape, that one's got that one's pretty good. But then I think there was that period from the third album all the way up until, in my opinion, Wasting Light, where they just had, you release the album, there's good singles, maybe one or two good deep cuts, and that's about it. You know, everything after that was kind of like just dicey.
They went with a formula, you know, they stuck to it, and I can kind of hang on a couple few. After this, Color and the Shape, I can kind of dig on. It doesn't hold. It's not, in my opinion, that album and their later albums, they don't. Some of those earlier, say the one right after, I don't know if it was Color and the Shape. I think it was second, right?
Yeah, that was the second.
That was when I started to realize that he's quickly changing into something else. Seeing how everything on this self-titled album came from Dave's head, written by Dave, composed by Dave, played by Dave, you know, pretty much.
Yeah,
it's like as Dave as you can get, because it really is all his original ideas that he had from years before. So it's so everything that you want in Dave. Like it's Nirvana. It's, you know, it's good. It's good. There's some really heavy stuff, some mellow stuff, some cute kind of, you know. And
that one, that's a great album.
And I think overall, the sound, the production of the album is what I enjoy the most. There's something really, I don't want to just put it under an umbrella and say like basement-y, but there's something very from his own mind, sound-wise, that maybe later on when a bunch of money and, you know, the ability to have a giant studio came in, that changed that. So
I agree. And then
kind of very solid and very honest probably would be a good word for me to use it.
That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, not convoluted, and just.
And he didn't have, you know, you're not spending months trying to perfect anything. You don't have a producer going, well, what if you try this? And other guys going, well, let me put my feel on it. You know, that's that ultimately, which I mean, their stuff's really good, and they're still really good live. I don't know. Have you seen them live?
Yeah, I've seen them live a bunch of times. I've seen them at least twice for every album up until like the fourth album, and then I saw him once. And I went to see him so much that I'm just kind of losing. Something was lost for me.
Yeah,
you know, he's like the consummate rock dude now. I mean, what hasn't he had his hand in anymore at this point? You know, so he's really become something incredible, almost like the continuation of rock embodied in like a fucking human. You know, so
which you know,
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, he's definitely, they're keeping that, you know, flying the rock flag.
Yeah,
somebody's got to do it, because I mean, there's, in terms of on the big grand scale, they're able to do it. There's very few that are still. But then again, I mean, the bands that are big and are staying big are the ones that have been around forever. You know, a lot of the younger guys just aren't aren't able to do it, or there's just, I don't know, too many outlets. I mean, I could have a 6-hour conversation about that alone.
Yeah. There's something was lost for me. Some of that honesty, I guess, that I was talking about was kind of lost.
That's
And I'm
and
one
that,
of those assholes that's into the underground dude. And when he gets huge, I'm like, fuck you, man. You fucking sold out. I don't care. You sold out. Fuck you. I'm one of those dicks, black
hey,
or
you know what?
white.
So, somebody's got to be. So,
You got to keep it real, right?
honestly, dude, like I think after the third album, I pretty much tuned him out because I was like when I was a teenager and stuff. So I just basically was like, you know what? No, they're huge. Fuck them. I'm not going to listen to them. And I mean, I hear a song or two here and there, and I'm like, it's all right, but I'm not going to listen to it because I don't know. Maybe I was just trying to find my own way of being cool,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I came back around to him probably about 2009-ish or so. So I was like, wow, stuff's actually pretty decent. And going back and really listening to everything. And plus I've got a lot of memories tied to the first album, especially because I was a huge Nirvana fan as a kid. So when that album came up, still a fucking kid. I was 9 when that album came out, but I was
Wow.
but I was heavy into it. Like I remember the MTV aired their concert from Brixton Academy the night before Thanksgiving in '95, and I remember like just watching that. I videotaped it and watched it religiously because I was already so huge into Nirvana. I'm like, holy shit, I still have a connection to Nirvana somehow.
Nice.
And those songs were so good and they were heavy. And
yeah, it's interesting that we can be so far apart in age, not insanely far apart, but still be sharing in the same experience in a way. That's really cool.
yeah, and that's the beauty of music,
Yeah, right.
But I mean, I was one of those few kids that actually was in tune with what was going on at the time. So people name off, oh, there was this album. It's crazy. I'll have conversations with people that are 10 years younger than me, and they're like, oh yeah, I've discovered that I don't know, Nirvana album or whatever. Oh yeah, I was listening to that when I was 10, 11 years old. I'm like, that was only like what, 2008, or some shit. And I'm like, man, I'd already been listening to that album for going on almost 20 years at the, or whatever. So I'm like, oh, so, I try to not make them feel like shit, but at the same time, it's like, wow, now I'm the old asshole that is also like, oh, but I was cool when I was 8 and I was listening to Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah. And the younger kids are like, sure you were. Sure. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, whatever. Shut up, old dude. Let me see here.
Sun's glaring in my window now.
Yeah.
I went out on that ride today. I actually got
the sun.
A little bit of sun. I'm feeling it.
Nice.
Feeling tingly.
That's a good feeling. Well, we can this one kind of can go in with the bit of a Foo Fighters Dave Grohl connection. So Cheap Trick Heaven Tonight. That's a good one. Dave Grohl connection being that this is one of the albums that was recorded at Sound City. So, and then obviously Sound City Doc. So for anybody out there that is watching or whatever, there you
There's
go.
the connection.
There you go. There's my connection there. That's a good one. That's definitely
yeah. What do you like about that album? That wasn't really one that resonated with me. What is it that you like about it? What resonated with you from that album?
For me, well, I got into them. Another one of those I got into at a really, really young age. My dad had a couple of their albums, but it was the later Cheap Trick stuff. So like The Flame, that type of era.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to work my way backwards. But I bought this on cassette when I was probably about 7 or 8 years old, and it just hit me right away. And at that point, I hadn't been jaded by hearing Surrender a million times and stuff like that. So, but this one's got some really, really good. Like I'd say this one, production wise, is definitely one of their best. And the songs really shine on it too. So you've got like they do a cover of California Man. So if anybody out there knows the original, I believe it's the original done by The Move. But their cover blows out of the water. I heard that for the first time about a year or so ago, and I was like, holy shit, this song sucks. Like, you guys Cheap Trick did you a favor.
That happens occasionally, man, where the cover's better than the original.
You know, and then the original, you know, it's fucking the move. So you've got Roy Wood and you got Jeff Lynne, and I love Jeff Lynne from ELO. So you're like, the fuck is the matter with you? You know, but I mean, if you want to talk, like, probably favorite song off this would be Auf Wiedersehen, because that one is tell me, you know, anybody out there, put that one on, crank your stereo all the way up, turn it up to 11, and tell me that one doesn't punch you in the face.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that.
Try that. If it doesn't work for you, is what it is, man. It's cool, but
I only had Budokan. It's the only one I think I've had.
Yeah, and that's, you know,
I heard it was the best as far as if you want an overall idea of what they're like.
It is, you know, and that's one of those bands where if you're not totally into, I guess what's the best way, like just general like pop rock, you know, type of stuff, you know, if that's not your jam, you're really not going to get into them, because that's basically what they are. You know, very definitely heavy influence of obviously the Beatles, but then you've got other bands that were happening, you know, too, with like, you know, the Raspberries and stuff like that. So definitely that, you know, just that punchy pop rock stuff.
Yeah, right.
You know,
it works. It works. You know, for what it is, it works. It gets the point across.
Exactly. So, but I mean,
and the drummer, isn't he always wasn't he always had a big cigarette hanging out of his mouth when he's drumming?
Bunny Carlos, that dude. Yeah, which I found it really weird when he actually did quit smoking and stuff.
Yeah, it's like put one in there just for effect, you know.
He was my inspiration when I was a cigarette smoker, and I tried doing that a few times. I'm like, how the hell does he do this all like for the entire set? Yeah, there was just no way. I tried it a few times at shows, and I would just play like shit. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's gone. You know,
maybe the 100s, because they're, you know, a lot longer. Long cigarette. You need that like filter thing that extends them out, like a little end you put on your cigarette that makes it all fancy looking, you know.
Or maybe like a Virginia Slim or something.
Yeah, Capri.
There you go.
Awesome. All right.
Throw another one in the mix, man.
Well, here's another one of those albums I was talking about. When a band gets too successful and I hate them later on. This is
okay.
Sorry about the glare. The sun's right in the window there. But this is Rubber Factory, Black Keys.
Nice.
And this is Black Keys when Black Keys were Black Keys. There was a drummer and there was a fucking guitar player. And I remember hearing them on XPN. I don't know if you have an NPR type stations around your place.
Yeah.
WXPN in Philadelphia, the station that they play less radio play stuff because they're public, you know, and they're supported by the people.
Yeah.
They play, in my opinion, well, obviously more varied stuff, but cooler stuff. And even if it's something you're not into, it's probably likely something that you really haven't heard. And they were into breaking lots of bands. They had a really good ear for what was good, at maybe not what they thought would be successful down the road, but they had a good ear for what good music was. And this, I remember hearing this on, you know, 88.5 in Philadelphia on my way home from work. I don't know why it sticks in my head, but I thought that's some of the most garage, straight in your face, you know, we're exactly what we are. They don't put on any airs. We're not trying to be Mr. Fancy with a horn section and a bass player and another tambourine guy and a rhythm guitar player and you know. And I really enjoyed that about them.
Nice.
Right in my face.
Yeah, I never really jumped too far into their catalog or anything.
I'd recommend that. I've recommended that album to more than one person as an album that you should want to hear first.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I knew a lot of people were, you know, talking them up and stuff in the last, I'll say in the last 10 years maybe, or something like that.
Right. They got a little convoluted and thinned out, and I don't know what they're going for a certain sound. You know, I'm not really sure exactly what type of music it is, but it's that kind of Levi's jeans,
Mhm.
4x4, dog by the fire type of tambourine, you know, jam. It's just, there's too much, you know, multiple guitar tracks and multiple vocal tracks and then rhythm guitar player and a bass player and some chick singing in the back. You know what I mean? It's
So
just
pretty much it loses what they were going for in the first place.
nothing
Yeah.
left. I mean, it was two guys and now it's, you know, 5 or 6 instruments or at least 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
Got really lame, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Well, I mean, that is
Success
what it
has a
is.
way of breeding lameness. I don't know what it is. Even the most solid musicians, uh, unless you're willing to just say no, I don't want the dollar. I just want musical success. I don't want the formula that comes along with being successful.
Right.
You got to do it, I guess. But I don't think they advanced as musicians at all. I think they de-evolved actually, because that Rubber Factory shit is fucking solid, man.
Yeah.
It's
I'll
solid.
definitely check that one out, dude.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah.
That's killer. I'll put that on my list, dude. Trying to figure out. So, what did I grab? What did I grab? Oh, well, here, let's switch gears here. This is one that I was actually listening to the other day while I was like making dinner and shit. And I'm like, I'll just, you know, because I've got Sirius XM, obviously for the cars, but I've got the app too. So I've got it like on my tablet and stuff like that. So I'll put on something random, but popped on YouTube. I'm like, let's put on a full album. I'm going to be in the kitchen for a while. And this one just happened to
Ooh, yeah,
catch my
wow,
eye.
yeah.
And I'm like, I have not listened to this album. And it's one of those that it's just you pass by it and you're like, okay, you know, Santana, whatever.
Mhm.
I'm like, I have not listened to this album in years. Let me figure out why I fell in love with it in the first place. And holy shit, I forgot how good this was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Riff
obviously,
on that for a second. Let me get something to cover this window. Go ahead and riff on that for 1 minute.
yeah, I will, man. So for anybody out there who's going to be watching this and has not heard this album, Black Magic Woman. So you got that on there, and you got Oye Como Va. So obviously 2 well-known Santana tracks. If you've obviously heard Santana before, if you want my recommendation of one song that you got to hear off this album, I'm gonna go Incident at probably gonna butcher it, but Neshabur, however, I'm probably butchering the hell out of it, but that track is killer. Honestly, do yourself a favor, carve out the 40 minutes or whatever the album length is, listen to the entire album because it's good from front to back. You're not going to want to skip a song. It's a killer jam, and if you see it at your record store, definitely pick it up because it's it usually goes for pretty cheap, and you're not going to be disappointed. If you're going to have one Santana album in your collection, grab this one because you're going to get great music and you're going to get killer album artwork to just stare at for hours on end.
It's so the greatest artwork, and it is like you said, it's a complete front to back album. It's an album that you really don't want to listen to if you can't hear the whole album.
Oh yeah, like I was like, maybe I'll skip a few tracks. Sometimes I'll do that. I'll put something on and go, I'll skip over the singles or whatever. I'm like, no, I'm going to try to listen to it as much as I can, if not the entire thing. This is an entire album. And if you're somebody out there that's wanting to start building, your, let's say 60s psych and things like that, this is definitely one of those where it's sold in abundance. So it's out there. You can grab it for cheap. You can start your collection, and yeah.
Like you said, a good place to start.
It really is, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, that's one of the first ones I got. I think I had the greatest hits on vinyl, and I think I got that. And that's one of those that I got from my buddy's dad's collection. So, yeah.
Any standout songs on there for you?
Well,
besides Black Magic, the obvious one.
Yeah, I mean, that's good.
And I think it's a Peter Green song, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's another one. And honestly, I didn't know that until I got deeper into Fleetwood Mac. So when I got a little bit older and realized, I'm like, oh wow, that's like, and that version is fucking amazing. So, yeah, Incident at Neshabur would be my standout track on here, just because the way the song flows, the guitar work, just everything. I mean, that one takes the cake for me.
Yeah, good choice.
Thank you.
Good choice. I'm just going to show another cart real quick, and then
okay,
I'll show some wax. Alice Cooper, Killers. Good Killer.
I think I got that one on cart too.
Good,
I might.
Cool thing about this is
different than mine. I like that.
This is a German press. I don't know if you can see it, but this is a German one.
Nice.
Can't really see it too well, but this is a German press. Yeah, I think this may have been another gift. I don't think I'd ever find this in the store. Man.
Yeah, I don't even remember where the hell I got mine. I'm pretty sure I've got Killer. I might. I'll throw another card in the mix.
Yeah, do it, man.
Yeah, this one, because I was pulling a few out, because I'm like, what do I want to talk about? Some Hawkwind.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, in the Hall of the Mountain Grill. This one, I think it was actually I believe it was a Goodwill find from years ago. I honestly couldn't tell you. It was probably about a good 7-8 years ago when I found this one. No, I don't think I found anything else in that same vein when I grabbed it, but just surprised the hell out of me. But this, for anybody out there, obviously, if you're new to Hawkwind, I would definitely recommend this as a good starting point. Personal opinion. It's where I started out, and I've actually got it on 3 out of the 4 formats that I collect. So,
okay.
Yeah, and all of those I found on the cheap too. I think I found the CD and the vinyl the exact same day from the same store.
Yeah, that's weird, right? Well, we need to talk about that sometime. I only have one of those that's happened.
I've had that happen. I think that one, and I think the other time I was right around probably that same time period. I found not a great album, but Goodnight Vienna by Ringo Starr. I found that on 8-track in the morning when I was at a Goodwill, and then I found it on vinyl later on in the day at my one spot that I would dig for $3 records. Okay. I'm like, holy shit, what are the odds? So
yeah.
And I only recently listened to that album for the first time, maybe about 1.5 years ago, and I'm like, wow, this album sucks.
but like that moment, you were freaked out that you found both formats in the same spot, right?
Exactly. But then again, I'm also a completist, so even if the album sucks, I'm gonna keep it because fucking crazy. But yeah, so
yeah, that happened to me with I've got them in the vault. Grateful Dead, and the same thing for me. I don't like the album Wake of the Flood.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of it. Maybe it's because I haven't really absorbed it too much, but that's the same thing. I was in the 8-track section.
Yeah.
And I found a super clean Wake of the Flood from the Dead on cart. And I was like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Pick it up, man. I've never really seen any Dead on cart. And so I walk around the aisle on my way to the checkout, and I'm looking at the vinyl as just I walk by, and I go, wait a minute, there's Grateful Dead Wake of the Flood on vinyl. So, same thing as you, man. I had to get them.
Yeah. That's it's cool. I hear you on that one. I got to absorb that one. It's been a while since I've listened to it. I really didn't grab me at first.
Yeah. A lot of it doesn't. A lot of it you really got to get into and just be open for it, and a lot of times I'm not open for that long of an amount of time.
Yeah, it depends on the moment, depends on the day, and I'll throw in, because I got some Dead right here in the stack.
Oh, cool.
Anthem of the Sun. That one kind of goes in the same when I was talking about getting into psych and stuff like that. I mean, I've always kind of generally been into psych, but I kind of go in waves. I'll pick up a few albums and then I venture into another genre that I'm interested in, stuff like that. Anytime I'm in a psych mood, this one definitely hits me. And it's actually, I put it might be my number 1 favorite for the Dead. An odd choice, I would say, probably from some people. But it's really good. And I think it's more of a sentimental thing than it is just because it's one of the first Dead albums that I actually got into, that I really went and discovered beyond just, when I owned Skeletons from the Closet, kind of like, okay, let's go beyond just the general songs that everybody knows. Right. And this is one that I listened to and I'm like, okay, there's not a song on here that was a hit or anything like that. So yeah, plus it's just so fucking weird, and the production they put into this and everything else.
So psych. It's like the most psych looking album art I think that they've ever done.
Oh yeah, I mean, like this one, and
it there's something else that's reminding me of. I know it's like
maybe, I mean, in terms of like, I'll stay on that. This is probably the most psychedelic Dead cover next to this one over Oxymoxua, the album that followed that. That one's got a psychedelic cover, but this one is the most, you know. And like the story behind it too, the guy who painted the artwork, it was inspired by like an LSD trip.
Yeah.
So, which makes perfect sense. So, but yeah, it's one of my favorites as far as just the Dead and just psychedelic music in general. So, you know, that's another thing.
Is that something you have on cart also?
Cart? No, I don't even have. That's one of those I've never seen any Dead on cart. I don't think I have any Dead on cart. I've got a few Dead cassettes, but those are hard to find. I got that one on CD and on vinyl, and that's it. Okay. So, but it's cool. I'd be one of those. I gotta look and see. I know they did like a remastered re-release of this not too long ago, within the last few years. I need to check that out and see if the mix is different than the remastered one that I bought back in 2003 on CD. So, yeah.
Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, heavy, you know, I'm not heavy psych, but cool, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. I got some other crap in here. So we talk about just music in general. So not these particular albums, but I pulled them because I'm like, they're kind of bands that I've been listening to. Obviously we all know them and everything, but more like, you know, those albums that you just put on because it's just like, okay, I've heard it a million times, but I want to hear it because it's like a comfort food sort of thing. So like you got like Styx, Grand Illusion.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if I was listening to this, it's been a while since I've listened to it, but it was one of those that when I was pulling stuff for this, I'm like, oh yeah, I should pull that one out because I haven't, you know, I know I listened to it and I want to, you know, throw a word in about it because I haven't talked about it in a while. This one's cool too because it's you know, one of the MoFis and
interesting.
gold stamp promo too.
Promo and MoFi.
Yeah, pick that one up for $3.
No way. See, that's one of those deals, dude. If anybody knew what that was actually worth, you wouldn't have paid $3 for it.
Dude, the messed up part was so I found it at one of those like indoor flea market type of places that's like open every day type of thing. And I stopped in there. I'm looking because I'm always, you know, anytime I'm out at some random place, I'm looking to see like, hey, has anybody got vinyl? And saw dude had the booth, had like those kind of like they're just beat up like wooden crates and they're all kind of stacked on each other, trying to like display them and vinyls up fucking everywhere. I'm like, oh my God, if I'm gonna be lucky if I find one thing in here. And dude this is one of the first things I grabbed. I'm like, oh my God. You know, when you do that first grab and you're like, okay, I've got to look through every one of these now because there's going to be something else in here.
And there's not.
And strangely enough, I ended up picking up, I don't even know. And they were all $3 a piece too. Wow. I probably found a good 20 records. And I mean, that was probably the most expensive cool gem out of it. Everything else was a lot of like catalog filler and stuff like that. So a lot of like Kansas and stuff kind of in that late 70s, early 80s vein. So I rounded out a lot of just filler and stuff like that. But that was one of those. I grabbed it and then I went back, I think either later that day or the next day to grab some more because I started like rolling through my head and I'm like, I thought I had this, but I didn't. So I started grabbing more stuff. I probably spent a good $100 at that dude's booth, but you know, I rounded out a ton of cool stuff. And this was one of those that was in there and I'm like, holy shit.
Good
but
deal.
And I'll jump in another one of the comfort food ones. So Journey Frontiers, another gold stamp promo there.
I don't know this one.
This one is one of those. It's got the hits on here, so it's got Separate Ways. It's from '83. It's got Separate Ways, Faithfully. Those are the two like huge tracks off of here. This was their attempt, so to speak, at doing a heavy album. At least from what I've read from like I think Steve Perry and stuff that I talked about, they wanted to do something a little heavier. So this was their heavy album, and it's actually got like the second side opens up the song called Edge of the Blade. Really good, like just that early mid 80s AOR, but like a heavy track. Like there's some really good songs on here that you can just crank up and go, okay. But there's a couple of filler tracks towards the end. The last song, Rubicon, I don't remember exactly what time signature it's in, but it's got a really cool drum part to it. So the groove is really good in it. Like it goes into like a straight four during the verse and stuff. But the stuff Steve Smith is doing on that track is actually pretty cool. So yeah, and this would be my pick if somebody were to ask me what's your favorite Journey album. I'm gonna easily say this, and then start talking about the first three from the 70s.
Okay, interesting.
Before Steve Perry, because those are really good.
Weren't they different? Weren't they more
the
kind of rock, like more hard rock than AOR?
Yeah, like they were a lot more hard rock and like fusion-y type of stuff. Coming off of obviously with Neil Schon and Greg Raleigh coming from Santana and going into this, they definitely had a lot of that sort of jammy fusion stuff that like Santana was doing before they left, but they also brought in a good rock vibe and everything. So those albums are definitely well worth seeking out to anybody out there, and they're fairly easy to find, I would say. And they're not too expensive, and I definitely highly recommend if somebody wants to jump into early Journey pre-Steve Perry, grab the self-titled debut. That's easily the best one out of the three. But all three are well worth seeking out and grabbing.
Who somebody was on vocals before Steve Perry was?
Greg Raleigh was doing those. So like, when he was obviously doing some, I think he was one of the main vocalists for Santana. So I mean, he does like the vocals and like Black Magic Woman. That's him singing. So yeah, he was doing a lot of those. Yeah, so he was doing stuff, pre-Journey. So I think he was doing the main set of vocals up until they brought in Steve Perry. So, and then even his songs are always really good. And it sucks that he's not on this one, but this one's Frontiers. For anybody out there, if you're in that 80s AOR kind of vein, it's a good one to check out.
So essentially, Journey ended up with two players from Santana, but not at the same time.
Yeah. Neil Schon and Greg Raleigh were both because they started, and I think even because the manager of Santana became the manager of Journey.
Did both of those players
they broke off?
Did they leave Santana and go to Journey at the same time?
Yeah, like I think the last album they were on, I think, was Caravanserai. I think, just kind of shooting off the top of my head. And then they went in. They were like, okay, we're done, kind of doing the jam Latin stuff that we're doing here. We want to rock. So we've got our own kind of thing. So I think there's a lot of influence still from what they were doing before, but then taking a little bit from like, say, like Mahavishnu Orchestra, kind of that sort of thing, and then blending in as much rock as possible because, Neil Schon, I mean, he was a kid when he joined Santana.
Yeah.
So, he had a lot of his heavy rock influence of, obviously Hendrix, Cream, stuff like that he necessarily couldn't totally bring to Santana, but then was able to shine a little bit more on those early Journey albums. And he doesn't get a lot of credit, I think, in terms of how good of a guitarist he is.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion.
The people that know, but unfortunately more people should know. And he was what, 14 or 15?
Something like that. Yeah, I think at most when he joined, he may have been 16 at most. Wow. So which just blew my mind, It sure shit didn't look like it. Like, wow, okay. But
good deal.
That's an excellent story, yeah. That's all about being in the right place at the right time,
Apparently, I was going to ask. I wonder how it happened. How do you go from Santana? Where's the connection to Journey?
That's because even with that, like when they broke up for Journey, I mean, he was still, you figure, let's do some math here, maybe like 20 years old when they broke off and him and Greg broke off to do Journey. So, which is just insane. And then you listen to that stuff and going, holy shit. Yeah. Like, you were only 20 years old and listen to that fucking playing and the writing and just what you were able to accomplish at that point. I'm like,
yeah,
fuck, man. I was working a shitty job and learning how to drink properly at 20 years old. Man, my priorities were not in that place at all, man. So
I wish, right? If I only knew how to channel focus my.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even know what you're doing.
Is what it is.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah. Let's see. I've got some other. I pulled out a ton of shit.
Let me.
So here's one. I pulled this. I was trying to figure out what like album, because I was listening to Fandango after I saw the recent documentary. Have you seen it?
I did. Netflix. Yeah, fucking
Yeah.
great, dude. About time too, right?
Oh my God. So I just went ahead and grabbed the best of out, because this one, actually, I was listening to this one too, and just because it's got that, it's perfect. It's one of those, even I find anytime I pull a compilation, there's still gonna be songs I'm gonna skip because there's songs that just suck. But this one, just it nails it. Like, okay, you want that comprehensive, you want to jump into that 70s ZZ Top, start here, just
It's
easily.
interesting that you say that. On just a side note, real quick, before we get back to that, I think the best of Styx, it's probably got the greatest best of track listing of. I can only think of a couple best of albums, ZZ Top being one of them. But the Styx best of, it's, what is it, 20 fucking songs, but
Yeah,
every single one is like, wow, man, I love this song.
that's the one. I was listening to that one not too long ago, and I would find myself about to hit it because I'm like, maybe I don't want to hear Best of Times. And I'm like, no, I want to hear it.
And then you do, and
like,
you don't want to shut it off.
no, because then I'm like, well, I'm all in at this point. I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, that's a great one. There's very few that that I'll pop in and go, like,
Yeah.
well, it depends on the artist and stuff too, and then just depends on the mood and everything else. If
So
there's,
what's on that ZZ Top? What's on that best of?
so you got obviously Tush, Waiting for the Bus, Jesus Left Chicago, Just Left Chicago, Francine, Just Got Paid, Lagrange, Blue Jean Blues, Backdoor Love Affair, Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, Heard It on the X. So yeah, smoking.
Pretty solid, man.
Yeah, I mean,
what year is that?
this was, I believe, 77.
Wow, it's early.
Yeah, so
It's sometimes the early best ofs are better, or you'd end up with legs and all that on there as a best of. I'm sure they have more best ofs, probably 8 or 10 more best ofs by now, right?
I can't even tell you. Thankfully, there's not a ridiculous amount for ZZ Top, but there's a few to where, like, they had one that came out. I don't know. It wasn't that recent, but recent enough in my memory that I look and go, why? Like,
yeah.
Is there a reason? I mean, if you're gonna pump your money into like, hey, let's put out a compilation. You know what? Put out the original mixes for the people that don't own the original mixes on vinyl. Do a reissue of those, or do CD versions, because I would love to have CD versions of all of them that don't have the 80s shit mix that they did for those for the 70s albums.
Yeah, that's obviously that best of was made for the old school ZZ Top heads. And you've got, I don't know when the next one came out, but I would think maybe some point of the 80s, maybe the Sleeping Bag or whatever that nonsense is, and maybe another one for the 80s people. I'm assuming that's maybe how they go about doing best ofs, generational best ofs, like
it's
arguments over the early best of as opposed to the later best of. In your opinion, more crap than the early shit.
Oh God, yeah. There's so many artists out there, but then again, and that goes into you talk about, you see like compilations from artists and how many there are and stuff. You almost wonder, was it a contract fulfillment and stuff like that, depending on what label they were on. I know that one comes to mind. There was one that came out in '82 for Sammy Hagar that I sought out for some strange reason. I'm like, I've got to have it, because I think I bought it on cassette when I was a kid, and I'm like, it's really good. I got to find it on vinyl, which I eventually did. But and that was on Capitol before he switched over to Geffen. But he had switched over to Geffen. The one that came out on Capitol came out after his first or second album on Geffen.
Weird.
So, well, like, I was like, oh, it must have been like either a contract fulfillment or one of those that was like, oh, he's scoring these hits, let's cash in.
Yeah, contractual obligation, or like you said, maybe they had a clause where they could do a best of later on, and yeah, at least they didn't pull like best of shit from like an album from another label he did and put it on theirs,
and try to, because then you get into those where because you find, I mean, I can't, nothing comes to my mind, but I know that that kind of stuff has happened, because then all of a sudden it gets pulled, and then people are seeking it out because it's like, oh, it's rare because they, you know, put X amount of songs that weren't supposed to be their property.
Right.
So it's crazy, man. You
Yeah,
know?
that shit happens a lot. I
Yeah.
think the big one I remember was Ice when Body Count,
Mm.
when they put Cop Killer on their early cassettes. I don't know if they did CDs, but I remember the early cassettes being around, and then they were immediately gone, and then you didn't get Cop Killer on any later press. So they're
Yeah,
actually, it's one of those examples of something that people are looking for now just because of that. And then
I
maybe
know.
not the song so much, but all the drama that came with putting that song out, and the police all up his ass, and
Oh yeah.
made him pull it pretty much. He was forced to pull it off. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
but see,
There's,
it's out there. The example's out there, and the the arguments are for everyone to see if you know where to look at from.
oh yeah, exactly, man.
So I think those kind of things are interesting.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love finding that kind of stuff, and then going, okay, well, which one's the better one? Because then if it's an album that, okay, we had to pull the album because of this track, and then you re-release it, did they put a different one on there?
Mhm.
Well, there's like, it's funny we're having this conversation, and it was one of those I was gonna pull, but then I didn't, because I was like, I'm probably not gonna talk about it. Like Skid Row's "Slave to the Grind,"
Okay.
um, that one, um, depending on, I don't know if it was just because it's a clean version or what, but they pulled that. It necessarily didn't get pulled, but there are versions out there that don't have the song "Get the Fuck Out." They replace it with a different track, which is still pretty good, but it's not as good as "Get the Fuck Out."
Right,
So,
right.
and the version I have on vinyl is the one that has the replacement track on it.
Okay.
You know, but it's still like that one. I think that one was supposed to get a reissue. I don't know if it was for Record Store Day or something, um, but obviously that didn't happen. Um, so who knows if that one does get another vinyl release, if it does eventually get the vinyl release that it's supposed to. Because yeah, because that album, no matter whether you're getting the original pressing of it or if you're getting the one with the replacement track, it's still like a $50 to $80 record, which I spent 70 on my copy, and that was like 6 years ago.
Wow.
Because I had to have it. I'm like, okay, this is one, a collection is not going to be complete without it, and plus I had disposable income, so like,
There you
I will be buying that right now.
go. Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool. Let me pull one here.
yeah, man.
Going back to final albums.
Yes.
Awesome musicians we know.
Ooh,
This is Jack Bruce's final album. It's called Silver Rails.
I like that cover.
Yeah, I don't know if it's some piece of art. I'm not 100% sure if this is actual art, like someone owns, or if it was for the album.
I'm gonna
I don't
tell
know.
you,
I want to say this if this is an actual piece of artwork or something possibly,
that
but
is really cool.
this was Jack's last album before he passed. This has got that same kind of. There are some songs on there that have a tinge of mortality.
Yeah,
Like here I am at the end kind of feel, which I find very. It's just something about the honesty that comes along with knowing and sharing the idea that your end is near.
yeah,
You know that nothing better is going to come in your life. The best times have come and gone, and
yeah.
beat
This is
up
it.
and old and broken now, and I don't mind sharing that with you. There's a lot of emotion behind that type of
Yeah,
thinking. I think back to like Johnny Cash and his American recording stuff, and his complete
great.
honesty with I'm broken, I'm old, I'm dying, I'm tired, I'm lonely, and I'm just going to tell you all about it. A lot of people, like a sick dog or cat, will want to climb under the bed and die, but some of these musicians have no problem with just showing you and inviting you in to what mortality actually is from their
Yeah,
point of view. I
that's it.
find that very, I almost get like goosebumps thinking about it, how
Yeah,
emotional and the honesty behind that. It takes a lot of balls to bring
it,
people in to say, watch me die. essentially. So I appreciate that album for that, but it's not only about that. There are some quintessential Jack Bruce songs on there and some real heavy hitters. There's a song on the end, I think side 2 on the end. No, maybe not. He does a couple songs here that he did in the past, like Keep It Down. What's a drummer from the Knack?
Oh shit, I can't remember his name.
Anyway, without getting into all that, I don't know stuff. He did a version of that song Keep It Down with him in like the early 80s or maybe late 80s or something like that. I seen a video of them doing that. So Keep It Down, that's not the one I was thinking of. It might be Drone. The song might be Drone. It's got a super heavy fuzzed out bass, insane, like almost more fuzz than you've ever heard Jack ever use, because he's more of a clean, there's like this super overdrive fuzz effect on his bass, and it's pretty fucking heavy. It's pretty fucking heavy. There's it's I'd say it's more like an old beat up Jack Bruce channeling some of his younger energy just for a second.
Yeah.
And then kind of just crapping out and going, oh, I can't, I'm out of juice, you know? And that's kind of how the album has kind of a flow like that, you know? Instead of a downward flow, there's kind of an upward slope.
Yeah.
You know, where he's kind of, I'm sick, I'm old, and then the energy level comes up. And that's kind of how it ends, which is cool.
That's awesome.
But I don't think it was too long after that he passed away too. So,
wow.
But I enjoy that album. It's pretty good.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to check that one out. I didn't even know.
That was kind of that was when I think he was pretty active on Facebook, maybe, or somewhere like that. I seen an interview, and that was like a pre-order, I think, actually.
Really?
And I don't even, honestly, I don't know if it's even, I don't know if it's around or if you can get it for $1. Excuse me, I assume no, but
okay,
it was a pre-order thing, so I have no idea if it's available. I know you can listen to it probably digitally online.
Find a way to check it out.
Yeah, if you can find any way to check it out.
That's killer, man.
Maybe Amazon Music or something possibly has that.
I don't know. So we'll kind of, I can piggyback a little bit off of Jack Bruce because obviously there's blues connection and stuff like that. So this is an album I haven't listened to it in a while, but I recommended it to a buddy of mine that I work with, because he's kind of he's a younger guy, but he's
I can't see the top of it because my
so it's Taj Mahal's.
Okay, I thought it was Taj. Okay.
Yep, debut album. This is
I got my fucking picture on the side. You're showing your records.
You're all good. So this is a Sunday's mono reissue. Came out. Let me see if I can pull a year here. 2005. Holy shit! Did not realize that. I recommended this one to him because he knows Taj Mahal, but I'm like, have you heard his first album? And he goes, I don't know if I have. So he was pulling up on his phone. He's like, okay, I know some of these songs and stuff. He's like, I've never heard the entire album. I'm like, do it. I'm like, you're into the blues. This is a great album. And it was, I believe, I've seen this documentary years ago where Greg Allman was talking about how it was before they formed the Allman Brothers. And this album inspired Dwayne Allman to learn slide guitar. No
shit.
Yeah. So that was one of those, I'm like, okay, I've got to hear this. I know Taj Mahal. But,
okay, now tell me, because I know his stuff. And I know what he does. And of course, I've seen him on the Rock and Roll Circus. It's probably the first time I've seen him anywhere.
That was same for me.
How far does he go? He's not like a contemporary, is he? Don't go back to like Robert Johnson era or anything, does he? Like,
no.
How old was he, do you think, in the 60s when they were doing that? Like when he was merging with like Rolling Stones and stuff. How old was he in the 60s and 70s? You know,
couldn't have been that old because he's still alive today.
Okay,
and so he had to have been. I mean, if we get a guesstimation in there, let's say at least probably somewhere near the 30 mark.
Okay,
maybe somewhere thereabouts. Maybe a little bit older than them, but not that much older. I don't think. Maybe at all.
Right.
Could have been around their age. He just looked a lot older, but I mean, definitely had that feel of like a guy who was already very seasoned.
Okay.
You know? That point.
Tell me about this album. What are we hearing on this album?
So we got So if you're an Allman Brothers fan, you know the song Statesboro Blues.
Oh, cool.
So that's I believe that's the opening track on Fillmore East. Let's see, he's got a cover of Dust My Broom on here.
Interesting.
Yeah. Shit, I totally forgot. So Ry Cooder is actually, for anybody out there, guitar player wise, Ry Cooder's on here.
Man, he got around, huh?
And Jesse Ed Davis is on here too.
So straight up blues, besides the covers, blues, slide blues, blues rock.
I would say definitely it's very blues. Obviously, there's that traditional blues in there, but also it's electrified. Definitely later 60s stuff. Definitely doesn't have the, in my opinion, anything really psychedelic about it. Just very straight ahead, late 60s rock blues stuff. So it's definitely one of those, you got to check it out. Like it's a great album. I would say it's a good blend of blues, rock, even some sort of funk stuff in there, but not like you're, like, oh, I'm listening to the Meters type of funk or anything like that. But, even like some, gospel sort of influence in there too. Yeah, it's really good. And I highly recommend it to anybody who's a guitar player, anybody that's into the blues. If you're just looking for late 60s stuff in general, that one's a great album. Yeah, and like I said, that's the Sunday's mono reissue. I picked that one fairly cheap. It was under $20, so it's probably around that same vein price wise. So, and then just also kind of piggybacking into the blues still, Best of Muddy Waters.
Oh, cool.
So this is the mid 80s press on Chess.
Okay.
So Chess Masters. So for anybody out there, if you're looking to pick up some chess stuff and blues, look into those original Chess Masters. Those are from the mid to later 80s. They're great pressings. Not saying that I think any of the new stuff is any worse or better or whatever. Those ones, they just sound the best, in my opinion, because I can't afford originals. Fucking expensive, but I seek out those original Chess Masters when I'm looking for stuff.
Awesome.
So yeah, and that's a good one too. I mean, if you're looking for an introduction too, for anybody out there that's into, wanting to get into older blues and stuff like that, and you're wanting to check out those heavy hitter artists, Best of Muddy Waters, that's where I started out when I was younger, and exploded from there.
Sounds like the Taj Mahal is just kind of what I would expect it to be.
Oh yeah, okay. Exactly.
Awesome.
So yeah, and it's definitely worth checking out. And I'll give it this: when I first heard his version, of Statesboro Blues, that's years after I'd already heard the Allman Brothers doing it. And the Allman Brothers definitely stayed very faithful to it. So obviously doing their thing. But when I heard it, I'm like, you instantly recognize it, and that they didn't take any liberties of going and screwing with it and making it horrible or whatever. That's a good example of a cover staying good to the original, and the original sounding really good, and you're not having to pick and choose. They both stand, right up to each other.
Sometimes people will use the whole originality thing as a crutch, because they don't know what kind of spin to put on a song. You can totally change the spin of a song and make it completely your own. Again, like a Johnny Cash Hurt kind of thing. We know what the lyrics really are about, but somehow they mean something else also.
Yeah, well, that's a perfect example, and Johnny Cash is a great example of somebody who took something and made it his own. I mean, have you heard? I'm sure you have heard his version of Rusty Cage.
Oh yeah. That's
so there you go.
One of the first things I heard, and I was fucking blown away. The dude's got balls.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought was, this dude's got fucking balls. And then when I heard an actual band come in, I couldn't fucking believe it.
Yeah.
You expect the twang, doom ticka, and the train ain't chugging. It's completely different. You're on board a completely different monster right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was
crazy, man.
Great. Yeah, that American recording shit is so fucking good, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I always tell people, if they're wanting to check it out and they obviously want to go beyond the handful of songs they already know of his, I'm like, you got to do yourself a favor and check this stuff out, because what he was doing in those later years was fucking killer. And he had great players with him and stuff like that. I mean, hell, he had I can't remember which volume it was, but it had Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers backing him.
I won't
stuff.
back down.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
He
Yeah,
did what did he do? A Bob Marley song?
yeah. I can't remember which
Something
one.
song, something song.
Is it Redemption Song?
Redemption song. There it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't
Redemption
remember.
song. He did a
Yeah.
Clash song, right? And I
Can't
think Joe
remember.
Strummer played or sang with him.
Yeah. Which wouldn't surprise me. There's a guy right there that just, didn't keep himself under one, bubble.
It's just weird to say Johnny Cash and Joe Strummer or Johnny Cash and Chris Cornell. It's
Right.
Johnny Cash and fucking Trent Reznor. It's insane to just
Exactly.
put
You
those
don't.
names together. It's obviously oil and water, but he found through that honesty, he found a way to, and they're happily saying that he made it his own. What can I say? No way I can tear it
That's
down. He took a
Yeah.
song about heroin and made it about mortality.
Exactly. Which there you go. That's just
do that when you're singing the same exact lyrics, but the entire feel on timbre is different. It's almost unheard of that people can do that anymore. It's like almost an old school. How do you do that crossover kind of thing?
when you've got that ability, you've got that ability.
Yeah.
That's it for me, man. In terms of how to describe it, that's best way to do it. So,
probably best that it's not able to be described. Otherwise, it may be able to be construed or pushed into a formula and used. And
exactly,
it's out there too. People that are trying to be something more important than the original, and it's
right.
so much deeper with my version. Well,
Oh yeah, and you're just
think it's deeper.
People that just want to take liberties and see what they can do to
right,
fuck something up. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah. Well, let me show one here real quick.
Go for it, man. I can't even figure out because I got a small stack still here.
Yeah, we'll hang for a little bit more and then we'll roll.
Not that I need to show every fucking thing.
Nah, yeah, we'll hang for a little bit more and then
I'm good. Cool.
So this is Spirit Caravan. Sorry about the glare. This is one of those ones you don't want to take out of the sleeve because it's more kind of like just a cover. This is a lithographed. This is hand. This is silk screened by hand. Let me try and get you. There we go. This is hand silk screened. This is like a pre-order that took me like 6 months to get. There were all these problems with everyone is hand done. With that traditional silk screen with the squeegee they pulled down, and this is very vibrant. It's not coming across super vibrant, but there's some golds and stuff in there. So this is a German. This is a German press of his album, Jug Full of Sun. And this was a pre-order. I've had to wait forever for this, like I said, because they had so many problems.
Yeah,
getting it work, the colors worked out properly, but it's essentially construction paper kind of thing. There's no.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, this is just a piece of paper that folds over to the front. But hand, what is it? Lithographed or what is it? I just said it a minute ago. Anyway, silk screen.
Silk screen.
Silk screening process. Yeah. So, I waited a long time to get this. And there's a number on there. Yeah, this is
25, 75.
75 out of 99. This has got nothing much going on inside, but it's a double, and it's got a four side is etched. It's got a cool design on it. Maybe not etched. It's more of that overlay that's real.
Like
they're calling them etched four sides, but it's more like debossed and embossed. You know what I mean?
I know.
Printed or something possibly.
Like a laser sort of etch sort of thing.
Even like chunky, like very chunky, like bumpy and chunky.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know exactly. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have those laser ones. This is like you don't want to put a needle on it. So it's Jug Full of Sun. It's one of my favorite albums by him.
So what genre is that?
Oh, that you could call that stoner. There's some mild doom elements. Scott Weinrich, he picked up the torch kind of for that whole Sabbath kind of riff thing and carried the torch when it was kind of really dying in the 90s and stuff. So, he's one of the grandfathers of the desert scene. any Desert Head or Caius Head knows Scott Weinrich as one of the original guys of the desert rock scene. And he just kind of moved on to do his thing and kept doing his exact same thing. And it's what he's known for, are those heavy riffs, those Sabbathy kind of riffs.
Nice. And, I'd never heard of him. I mean, I'm into, well, then again, I guess
well, that's one of his things. He's also got another band called The Obsessed. You probably know The Obsessed. It's just a different lineup.
Okay.
This is his thing, you know what I mean?
Nice. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Spirit Caravan put out a few albums. Jugful of Sun and Dream Wheels, another really good one. You know, he's one of those guys that's he's just never stops. He's got projects going over and over again. But yeah, he's the Obsessed guy. He's the guy that played with oh man, what's it'll come to me at some point. But it's another band he plays with, and I don't think he plays with them anymore. As a matter of fact, I think he got in a fight with the guitar player. He told him to fuck off or something. I heard him yell. I saw some recent video of him live and on stage, and in the middle of songs, somebody says something. You can't hear what somebody says in the crowd, but he starts ripping on this dude. He's like, I ain't playing with that asshole. He's like, nobody will play with this fucking guy because he's an asshole and he's a liar. And if he was in front of me, I say it right to his fucking face. And then he just goes into another song. Scott is like the consummate badass. He'll just as soon walk off stage and punch you in the mouth to shake your hand. So one of those very honest dudes that you just don't want to get on the wrong side of. I had the pleasure of meeting him. We hung out for a few minutes at a show a few years ago in Philadelphia at the Voltage Lounge. And he's just a regular guy. It's just three dudes touring around in a fucking beat up van. You know what I mean? He's just a musician. He wants to fucking play. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, and he probably don't want to dig ditches. So he'll probably take on a dozen shitty shows instead of digging ditches, but he's doing what he wants to do. And, you know, you got to give him credit for that. And people appreciate him for who he is and his unwavering attention to this whole Sabbathy kind of thing. It's interesting stuff. I think you'd really actually love it. I think you really would.
Yeah. I mean, you know, talk about the desert scene and you talk about Caius, and I love Caius. So
yeah, there you go.
Check it out, man. Definitely. I'll pull one more.
Okay. Then I'll show a cart and we'll wrap it up, man.
Yeah, sounds good. So let me let's see. So here's one. So I'm going to show it. I haven't actually listened to it yet. So, you know, you can throw in your 2 cents on it, whatever. I know the band, obviously, because I've got their first album. It's one of my favorites. But this is another recent pickup. Well, recent as in like in the last 6 months. So Blue Cheer, Outside Inside.
Oh, cool, man.
So, this is another Sundays reissue. One of the few labels that I won't hesitate if I see that it's on that label. Like, okay, I'm gonna grab it because they do killer pressings and they do really faithful to the artwork and everything else.
What do you know? Do you have any frame of reference with Blue Cheer? You know any of their other stuff? Obviously,
they're the Vincibus Eruptum.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've got it. Yeah, so I've got a point of reference there. Reason I picked this up, I found it for cheap because I'd been eyeballing trying to get obviously like an original or something close to it, but those kind of go for stupid prices. So I found this and it was like $15. I think I found it off Amazon, something like that. And obviously being Sundays, I'm like, okay, I know I can trust it. Cool part was too, and I'm not going to pull everything out. This one, it had a hype sticker from Sundays, but it also had a sticker too with like logo and like artwork and stuff kind of on it too. So, which is always cool when you can find a record that comes with some cool,
some kid that put it on the wall or use it,
Exactly. And I like anytime I get those hype stickers and stuff, I like to, obviously cut them out and I'll stick them in the sleeve. So I always have them. So you have those little things you can pull out and look at too. But yeah, now other reason I picked this up besides obviously, I wanted to have more Blue Cheer. It gets some of those like cyclists and stuff people talk about, they're, top 100, top 50, whatever. And that one showed up on a lot of lists. I'm like, okay, I know I love Blue Cheer. So I'm going to give this one a shot. And so when people talk about how good it is, so I'm like, okay, it just hasn't made it to the table yet. It's one of those, it's on the shelf, it's sleeved and it's clean and everything. I just got to find the right time to put it on and absorb it. So.
Yeah. No, it's a good choice, man. Good album. I think you'll dig it. I think you'll dig it for sure.
I'm sure, man.
Yeah. So let's see. I guess I'll just pull one more. I'll pull a cart and then we'll call it quits, man. Let's go. We'll do some of the live stuff again and what some of the best live albums of all time are. And this is, in my opinion, it doesn't have a single fucking stinker on it.
No, it doesn't.
Matter of fact, every song is a fucking ass kicker. You know what I mean?
Yep. I've got that same part too.
Bond and stuff like that, and
yeah.
Song for America, Point of No Return, Paradox, Icarus. I mean, you know, what isn't a fucking 10?
Yeah, people need to not overlook that band. Those guys, those first handful of albums, you know, pretty much up to this point are all great. You know, and that album's a 10. Easy.
Yeah, this is called Two for the Show, by the way.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know.
Yeah, highly recommend it. Anybody out there watching this, you got two dudes telling you it's great. It's great. Check it out.
It's kind of that same exact thing like with Styx. It's like every single song is one of those songs I can't believe I know. I can't believe I know this many songs by these guys. In this case, it's like every song is badass, but the Styx one is like, I can't believe that I know this many songs and that they have this many awesome songs. Like radio, like big radio songs. But you know, the Kansas thing is you just can't fucking miss. Like you don't want to turn it off.
No.
It's got such a good flow to it. That
it
it's
does.
Kind of like, do I really have to stop it now? You know, no, I got to listen to it. So
exactly.
Yeah, put it on and just let it go, man.
Take the trip, man.
You know, yeah. Wait for that click.
Seriously.
Right. Yeah. So I appreciate you coming by, dude.
Yeah. Thanks for
I don't know what we'll fucking call this. I just call it a casual hangout session, you know. I don't want to get it too convoluted or anything, but I appreciate you coming on, and you know, if there's any
thanks for having me.
You know, technical bugs, we'll work those out. And
exactly.
I think the beginning, I just hit record of the session a little bit after we got started.
Yeah.
I forgot. So, you know.
Hey, no worries.
Hey, we'll work it out. You know, I'm just an old dummy trying to work out this shit. You know, it's confusing for a computer dummy like me. So
yeah, well, you know, it happens. It's all good, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and you know, maybe we'll do it again in the future when you get some more current polls, and check out that Blue Cheer. You can tell us what you think of Blue Cheer, and I'll tell you what I think of your recommendations for the Cheap Trick and stuff. And
oh yeah, man, definitely.
You know, to give us something to riff on later on. So
exactly.
I want to thank everybody for watching, and
same here.
We'll be putting this recording up later on for everyone to dig on at a future point if you didn't get to hang out with us today. And I'm hoping to make this kind of a semi-regular thing. So, Craig, thank you again. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you, YouTube community, and whoever else is watching this. Thanks for your support. And I hope you enjoyed our chat. And I'm going to hit end meeting, and I'm going to hope this actually ends. So thank you.
See you guys.
Take care, friend.